it's Michelle from thewomenwithfire.com, and I am michellegifford.com, and I am so excited to be here for the I Am Mom Summit and be talking about business. It's something I'm pretty passionate about, and especially being a mom and owning a business. Never in this whole world have we been able to have such an impact and influence online than now. And so there are probably many of you who are trying to start a business or trying to grow a business and you feel a little bit stuck. You've probably looked around on Pinterest, on different people that you follow, and you're a little bit confused, right? Because everyone is telling you that what they love is important. And so you might find someone who really loves blogging, like me, and they tell you that blogging is the most important, and then you go and you try to do that and it doesn't work, or you just hear that, oh wait, no, Pinterest is most important, or Facebook Lives are most important, or Facebook groups, or whatever. And we come to find out that it is tricky deciphering what platform is for you. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. It's a blossoming business, an honest step-by-step approach to building an online business. So I'm really excited to be here. Let's really get to it. So let me just give you the outline of how this is going to go. So I want to teach you the different platforms, or the most popular platforms. There's so many, I can't even. So we're going to start with the most popular platforms, and then I want to walk you through a step-by-step questions to get you thinking about which platforms are for you. Because guess what? I love you. I love you enough to tell you that you do not have to be everywhere, because my word, you are a mom, you are a business owner, and being everywhere is tricky and it can't really be done. So if we can really take an honest approach, an honest look at the best platforms for us, then we can really hyper focus on what's going to make the biggest impact in our business. So there are 6 platforms I really want to talk to you about today, and I'm going to just go through them and give you the pros and cons to each, and then I'm going to give you the questions that you'll ask yourself when deciding which platform, and then I'm going to give you some examples of my businesses and how I use them, the different platforms, and decide which platforms are best for me. Okay, so the first platform, and I really think everyone needs to have this, is a blog site. And the reason why I love blogs so much is because you can have so much impact, and it's really a home base for all of your content. Whether you blog regularly or not, having a blog site where you have all your courses and all your content and links to everything that you're doing, I think it's hugely important. I was mentoring this really big Instagrammer who she was doing so great on Instagram, but she didn't have even a blog or anything. And so when I told her, I was like, hey, you've got to get a blog, because then you can convert those followers on Instagram into making you money. Well, a year and a half later, she has a blog, and she is making big bucks on her blog because of all the traffic she's getting. So blogs are huge. And let me give you some statistics. As a small business, you are 126% more likely to get leads if you have an active blog. You are 434% more likely to be ranked on Google if you have a blog. And that's why I love blogs so much and why I use them. But guess what? I don't use them for all my business. I'm going to tell you at the end how I decide. And so blogs are really great that way. All right, so there are some downsides to blogging, and the big one, I'm guessing you can guess, is time. Because blogging consistently takes up a lot of time, and unless you really know how to do it, it doesn't impact your business unless you can take advantage of your blog, like on Pinterest and Google and those kinds of things. So you do have to learn some things for blogging to be profitable and worth it. All right, so that is blogging. The second is social media, and I'm really going to just focus on Instagram and Facebook because that's where most of you probably are focusing. Okay, so social media is great because it's free, it's quick, you can do it daily and interact really personally with your audience daily. And this is really a big deal because no longer are people having like these big businesses with no faces, no personality. No, that doesn't happen anymore, right? Because people want to know you, and they can because of social media. And that's really why I love social media. The thing I don't love about social media is it's always changing, and you do not own your followers. So if you know that Facebook and Instagram are constantly changing the way they decide who gets to see your posts. It's called their algorithm changes. And so they have an algorithm, it decides whether your post is going to be seen by your followers or not. And that can be tricky, right? Because all this time you're spending on Instagram could be for naught if you're not doing it correctly. So that's the trick about Instagram and Facebook, is you don't necessarily own your followers. The third one is Pinterest. Now, the reason I love Pinterest is because it makes your content evergreen. If you learn how to blog correctly, then you can pin your images on Pinterest, and people will continue to pin and repin your content. And so people are constantly getting fresh eyes on your blog posts. Otherwise, when you post a blog, you maybe shout it out on Instagram or with your email list, and your followers see it, and then it gets buried in the pages. Well, with Pinterest, it is great because you can constantly be getting fresh eyes on your work. I love Pinterest for this. So one of the downsides of Pinterest is you really need to know how to use it. If you don't know how to use Pinterest and how to blog for Pinterest, then it's not really worth it. And you do have to keep up your account. So I remember I was in a Facebook group with some business girls, and I was like, hey, do you guys want to join my Pinterest group board? And I had a bunch of people join me, and it was great. And then I started looking at these girls, and none of them had websites to go to. So if you are not blogging for Pinterest, and if you're not pinning from your blog, then there is no reason to be on Pinterest, because you have no place for your people to go. And so that's really important, that there's going to be a relationship between blogging and Pinterest. The fourth one is having an email list. Now, I'm going to tell you that I really think everyone needs to have an email list, like today, okay? Now, what an email list is, it is a list of all of your customers or people that are interested in your content, a list of their emails. And then the great part about this is when you are ready to talk to these people, then you can email them out, go straight to their inbox. And there's a lot of power here, because guess what? You own your email list. So unlike Instagram and Facebook, where you don't really own your followers, and Instagram and Facebook can constantly change the rules, you own these emails. And so you can contact your followers at any time. It's a really great way to nurture your relationship with your followers, because they can get more connection with you. The hard part about email lists is that you have to maintain it. You have to have a relationship and continue. You can't just email someone when you're trying to sell something, because they don't have a relationship with you from email, and it becomes spammy. And so an email list takes time. It also is something that you do have to learn. There's a little bit of a barrier for entry, but it's definitely doable and worth your time. The fifth one is podcasting. Now, I love podcasting. It's kind of all the rage right now, if you haven't noticed. And the reason why is because it's such an easy, quick way to learn things and multitask. Because if you're a mom, right, and you're busy, but guess what? I can be making dinner, listening to my son play the piano, and have a podcast going in my ear. And so this has been really great. It's been really great for me and for moms everywhere, because we can have good things, good content going all the time, and we can constantly be increasing our knowledge. So I love podcasts. That's why I started a podcast. It's really great. So there are downsides to it, though. One of the things is that there is no interaction with podcasts, right? Someone is just listening to my podcast, but they're not actually on the podcast platform, like on iTunes where you listen. They can't interact with me. They have to go like to Instagram or a Facebook group to actually interact with me. And so the non-social part of podcasting is a little bit tricky. Another thing is there is a learning curve to podcasting, and you have to spend some money on like sound equipment and that kind of thing. All right, the sixth platform is YouTube. Now, I love YouTube. I think it's a great thing, and what we don't realize that, like Pinterest and like Google, YouTube is a search engine. So it is a place that people go to search for things online. And so it is a great place to be if you are teaching, if you are becoming the expert in something, because people are searching for your content. YouTube is a little bit tricky because it takes time. You have to have some equipment, but now with the new iPhones, it's super easy to do, right? Because such great quality. So it's becoming easier, but you do have to record yourself, so that can hold some people back. All right, so those are the six platforms that you can be on, and there's more. Obviously, there's more, but these are the 6 ones that I'm going to talk about because I think they're the most popular. So I want to talk to you about my 5 businesses. And the reason why I want to tell you a little bit about them is because I don't choose the same platforms for every one of my business. I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. So my first business is thewomenwithfire.com, and it is a podcast and business education for faith-filled women. And so we teach we're going to have launching a business course very soon where we are going to walk you through how to have an inspired business. And so that is great. I run that along with Sarah Allred. And then the second business is IamMichelleGifford.com, where I help women take the next step in their business. And I have my beginning, like blogging, email marketing, and photography courses on there. So really just helping people get started in their business journey. The next one is Beauty Revived, and that is a photography nonprofit where we have a quarterly print magazine. And then I have my photography business. And I also have joined Mascara. Now, Mascara is an MLM. Don't turn this off. This is great. So when I joined Mascara, because I thought it would be a great business opportunity, because I wanted to see something. I wanted to see if I could take all of these things that I've learned in business and the things that work and apply it to an MLM and make it run smoothly. And so could I take away talking to family and friends, take away Facebook groups, take away in-home parties? Could I take all that away and have a successful business? And I've done it, and it works. And so why this is important to you and why I'm telling you this is because guess what? Online business principles, these things I'm teaching you are sound principles, and they can work across any platform. Any platform. And that's why I'm telling you this, okay? So now you have an idea of my 5 businesses. I'm going to tell you the questions that you need to ask when deciding which platform. And then I want to talk to you about my businesses and the platforms that I use for each, okay? So the first question I want you to ask is, what are your goals? Okay? Because it's very important to know what you want people to do and how you're going to serve your audience, okay? And that's number 2. Who is your audience? Who is it? Know very deeply, very intimately who your audience is and how you serve them. The third thing I want you to ask is, where is your audience? Where is your audience hanging out online, right? Figure that out. And then 4, how much time do I have to commit to this? Because guess what? We need to be real with ourselves or we will just self-destruct, right? If we are not very honest and clear with ourselves about how much we can do, how much time we actually have to commit to this, then you're going to fail and you're going to get burned out. And I don't want you to do that. This is something that I think I really want you to just start with choosing 2 platforms and kill it. Just kill it on those 2 platforms. And then you can, as you get in a routine and learn that and maybe start delegating and paying people to do the things that you don't have to do, then you can start adding platforms, okay? So let's go through my businesses and we're going to ask these questions, okay? So the first one is the Women with Fire. And our goal is to get people to the podcast, and then eventually they will buy our business course, right? So we get people to the podcast. So who is my audience? Our audience are women of faith who are mostly moms and people who are trying to grow and influence online. All right, so where do they hang out? These women are on Instagram, they are listening to podcasts, so that's where we're focusing. We also have a Facebook group for these women. All right, so those are the places we're focusing. Now, my business partner, Sarah, and I, we talked about this just recently, and we were thinking, because she has a business too, and we have so much going on. And so we asked the question, should we be blogging? Now I'm just going to tell you, I have a huge testimony of blogging. I do. I love it. And I've seen it grow in my businesses. But I do not think it is necessary for the Women with Fire right now. And here's why. The content that we are creating isn't something that our audience would necessarily go to Pinterest and search for. It's not something that they would necessarily Google for. And the best way for our content to spread right now is through word of mouth and Instagram and Facebook. We always have an email list going and growing, because that takes our growing audience and gets them on an email list so that we can communicate with them whenever we need to. But that's how we decided to do it. And that's what we're going to do right now until we get these processes in place. And then we will add blogging to our mix. Do we blog our podcasts? Absolutely. Do we have a blog site and a website? Absolutely. But right now we're not spending time on blogging because it is not it's not important now for our business. And when we thought about how much time we had, we just don't have time to do it. And so the most important things for us to do is get our podcast, be present on Instagram, and have our Facebook group going and growing. Okay. So the next one is I'mMichelleGifford.com. And this I spend a lot of time on Facebook doing Facebook training videos, because that is where the content is getting shared right now. And then the great thing about that is when I do Facebook Lives, I can get them onto YouTube and get a part of that search engine. I spent a lot of time on blogging on I Am Michelle Gifford, because the things that I am teaching are things that people search for on Pinterest. And then I'm active on Instagram for I'm Michelle Gifford, but is more personal, and people can get to know me better, but it's not a ton business. And so that's what I've decided to do, because I know what my audience wants, right? Okay, so the third business is Beauty Revived, and this is a nonprofit photography movement. And so what is our goal? Well, we want to reach the most photographers that we can. And we want big-hearted photographers who like to give back and do good and use their lens for good. And so that's who we want to attract. And so that's who they are. And where are they? Well, a lot of photographers spend a lot of time in Facebook groups. And so we have a blog site that we update with our sessions all the time. And my assistant and my blog assistant does that. And then we have a Facebook group that people come, that's where we interact. And then we have an active email list. Now, it's not very important for me to get my sessions on Pinterest, right? Because it's not really what people are searching for on Pinterest. I don't spend a lot of time on SEO as far as my sessions that we're posting online, because these sessions, people aren't searching for these types of things. And so we don't spend that much time there. Okay, so do you see how this is working out? I'm going to just skip to my mascara stuff because it's, I think, really enlightening. So like I said, I did things differently. I really focused on SEO and Pinterest to grow my mascara business. I'm 6 months in. I'm not making $1 million, but guess what I'm doing is we have found a way. I have a business partner and I, Joellen, and she blogs consistently twice a week. Okay. And she knows how to blog. And so she blogs for Pinterest. And then my Pinterest assistant, she is doing the pinning over on Pinterest. And so we have been really focusing on our blogging and getting SEO covered and Pinterest. We don't spend a lot of time on Instagram for mascara. I hardly mention it in I Am Michelle Gifford, hardly at all. And we don't have a Facebook group to sell mascara. We have a Facebook group for our artists. And so our goal is to be on top of Google and Pinterest when people are Googling these mascara and mascara makeup. That's our goal. So who is our audience? People who are Googling. And where are they? They are Googling and they're on Pinterest. And how much time do we have? Well, we are really focused on blogging and SEO and Pinterest. So that's what we're going to do. Now, you might have listened to all of that, and hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully it was a little bit, you got a sigh of relief. Don't get bogged down that I have assistants. I have 5 businesses. And so I could not do it if I didn't have assistants or partners to work with. And so just know that you can do this. You can do this with one person, with you. And when I first started, I knew I wanted to start outsourcing things. And so I had a friend who wanted me, I was That's when I was just mostly doing photography and beauty revived. And so I asked my friend if she would Instagram for me in exchange for a photo session. And she would do that. She would totally do that because we were both winning. It was easy for her. She knew how to do it. And so I think that we make this outsourcing thing way too complicated. Trade if you can, pay if you can. So just don't get too worked up about the I outsource and you're not ready to outsource, okay? That's why I'm telling you that. And I want you to know that also with mascara, we really focused on Google and Pinterest, and we have those down. And so now in the coming months, I am going to be focusing on Facebook Lives and getting those Facebook Lives on YouTube. And that's what I want you to come away from, is that we spent 6 months really honing in on getting this system down, a blogging system down. And we have our email, everything has an email list, and that has to be one of your things, okay? But we really have our blogging and email list and Pinterest stuff down. And from there, since we have that down, we can take the next step and add YouTube to the mix. But we did it for 6 months until we felt ready to add something else. And so just realize that you can do this. You don't have to do all the things, because honestly, probably all the things are a waste of your time. You need to first figure out what your goal is. And second, know who you're talking to. Don't be on Twitter if all your women are on Instagram, right? That's crazy. So know where your people are and how you can serve them. And then really consider how much time you have to get this done. Because that is if you can make reasonable goals and expectations of yourself, then you will be much more confident and cool and calm and less stressed about growing a business. Because I'm sorry, this whole business, growing a business, raising a family is not for sissies, as my grandma would say. It is for consistent hard workers. I have some worksheets below. I would love for you to go through and figure out which platforms really work for you, and then kill it on those platforms. Just choose 2 or 3 and just do it. You can do this. Okay, thanks you guys for joining me. I hope you've learned a lot. So I'd love for you to come find me on Instagram at I am Michelle Gifford and at The Women with Fire. I'm cheering you guys on. I know you guys can do this. Now get to work.